you be with somebody that long and not know? And on top of that, if he take your car to go get a pack of cigarettes and don't go back for 2 to 3 days, and then one day he come back with a 2-year-old and tell you, oh, this my baby. Girl. Oh, my life, be waiting for you. Oh, no, how you do. Well, hello there, love bugs. Hello there, Bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share to Facebook, subscribe, and visit uptopbeauty.com. And if you are not already a part of our book club, please remember to hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube, and for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes, you can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Okay, this Friday, October 22nd, we are doing the live Q&A cash giveaway. This will be a closed chat, meaning that the only people that can participate in this live Q&A cash giveaway for the Sugar Ray, Bury Me in Motown book are current members. You cannot come in and say, hey, can I join today? No, because you should have been joined, Mother Hunchy. In July 1985, Guy Costa, the hater, telephone call came. It was like a dagger to my jugular. I'm calling to inform you that you are being terminated. Your producer's contract is herewith canceled. You will continue to receive your base salary for the next 2 years, at which time your termination will be final. Guy, this is insane. I'm about to have a meeting with Barry to finish the Shark presentation. We're talking about a black Elvis Presley, a potential megastar. Barry liked the song that he heard, and for God's sake, Just Call is ready to cut. I know it's a hit. No, said Gary. The chairman told me that Shark wasn't that good and the material wasn't strong enough. In August of 1987, your termination will be final. It hadn't been a test. It wasn't a warning. It was final, and it was the most dire emergency of my life. In August of 1987, I would be 50 years old. The production company formed between Shark and myself was named Sheraton Production. Benny Medina promptly signed us to a long-term agreement with Warner. After all the pain and sweat and the month of humming and hawing at Motown, I got a verbal deal from one of the largest recording companies in the world. In what seemed like a finger snap, I was vindicated. How many times, y'all, I had told y'all that why does she think that she is only pigeonholed to Motown? She has done so much work that I believe that if she reached out to different labels, she would have been just fine. You know, it was like, why you been ain't do this, girl? Why you been ain't, explore your options? She's so insecure and vulnerable and thinking that Bertie Gordy is the end all, the be all. Girl, is she crazy? Not too many weeks later, I was standing in a hall outside of Shark's Hospital on the Jesus. Here it go. She got a phone call. Hey, your boy / dingaling / artist / co-production company dude, okay, is in a hospital. Why? Because he OD'd off of coke. That's why, girl. How you be with somebody that long and not know? And on top of that, if he take your car to go get a pack of cigarettes and don't go back for 2 to 3 days, and then one day he come back with a 2-year-old and tell you, oh, this my baby. Girl, when he saw me, Shirk bust into tears. I fought a tide of dread. Sitting down next to him in a chair by the bed, finally he managed to say, I have a problem. I'm addicted to cocaine. Momentarily, I lay my head in my hands. There had been occasions when he had returned with cocaine and had asked me to try it with him. Drug and alcohol use prevalent in this era was something I had spent years trying to fight. I was never able to understand it. And so, in a vain and foolhardily effort to gain some sense of that hunger for it, I had taken the small glass pipe from Shirk one night and had drawn in one long puff. As he held a torch to the bowl, the feeling had been exhilarating, like nothing I had known before. My curiosity satisfied, I made another blunder by financing a few purchases for Shirk, thinking that the euphoria it gave him would help him deal with his anxiety, waiting for the deal to come through. Twice I was right, but on the third time he underwent a violent physical and psychological reaction. Alarmed, I laid down the law. No more purchases by me and no cocaine in the apartment. Okay. So now, girl, he's supposedly clean and sober, girl. All right. Okay. But let me say this, y'all. The thing about it is that now I see why Wendy Williams went into that room with him. Not that she deserved, whatever happened to her, okay? But considering that Wendy Williams had a habit, okay, and the dude Shirk had a habit, they probably went up there, and Wendy Williams is a damn liar. She's never going to admit that, I went up there to smoke crack with Shirk and then it turned into something else, but I can see how those two ended up in the room. And again, I am apologizing to Tony Terry because I've never heard of him having some crack issues or coke issues. I don't know the ninja, right? But, I just put 2 and 2 together and was absolutely wrong, okay? It was the dude Shirk. So girl, your boyfriend assaulted Wendy Williams, girl. Shirk made excellent progress and I was very encouraged. He had nipped the problem in the bud and the contracts were due any day. I could almost see the other side. Okay. And with all these good things coming into play, she was able to move her and her boyfriend slash I don't know what you call them, dingaling, okay, into a tri-level townhouse in San Francisco Valley. So one night when I went down to the kitchen to cook us a couple of steaks, Shirk quietly took my keys, slipped out of the door again, and disappeared. His rehabilitation had lasted less than 8 hours. Damn. Shirk's in the hospital again. Now dig this. She never told the dude Benny Medina who had given her the contract that Shirk had some issues going on, okay? Shirk, from time to time would get missing. So that was a concern that she did not want the dude Benny Medina to have to worry about. Yeah. I don't care how many times Benny Medina slept on your couch, girl. I don't care how loyal he is. What you can't do is mess up your business chasing behind some dumbass dude. Again, he back in rehab. Again, okay? Against all odds, Shirk stayed clean. He kept all of his rehab appointments and worked from sun up to sundown for month after month, preparing his debut album. And I'd been swamped with my end of the pursuit, working out the details in conjunction with all the departments at Warner Brothers. At Christmas time of 1985, I went home to see my family in Detroit. Mama, though, without her younger physical strength, was as regal and poignant as ever. Her brother Mike, again, is still hurt that he is not in the music business like he chooses, okay? You know, she tries to tell her brother, you know, big brother, look forward or look up, okay? Because I'm going to get us back in a good place. She said that's what her brother needed because automatically he perked up. I knew he wasn't in shape to make the move. And then in a voice of conviction, he proposed, listen, I'm going to get myself together and come out in the summer. It was, in fact, the summer during which Mike had promised to come out and work with me that I received the news on August 27th, 1986. Mike Osman died. It was his heart. In August of 1987, Shirk was released. Hearing Just Call on the radio for the first time was one of the greatest thrills of my life. In August 1987, the month the album was released, my Motown subsistence ran out and my termination was official. Everywhere there was overwhelming adulation for Shirk, and I watched him strut magnificently in front of audiences. I was breathless. By the middle of the tour, though, I sensed trouble. I was therefore quite dismayed when a woman professing to be a psychic approached me one night and told me that Shirk had the makings of a legendary superstar. But then, leaning into my ear, she said, but he won't do it. There is an obstacle. It will be his downfall. Before I had time to respond, the woman disappeared. And the next night after a show, so did Shirk. Why did you think he wouldn't do that, girl? He gonna do that because, I mean, goddamn, if he buy your car to get a pack of cigarettes and you don't see his ass for 3 days later, I mean, goddamn. Shirk, okay. And I started having scenes. On certain occasions, he'd find a star-struck young girl to feed his habit, or he'd take off with a rowdy entourage of others who didn't want the party to end. In January of 1988, Benny contacted me excited and ready to roll on the next album, wanting to see new material and budgets. I promised him Shirk would call him in a few more weeks. A few more weeks? A few more weeks? Nigga, it's money on the table now. Promised him Shirk would call him in a few more weeks. More time than that slipped by, and Shirk slid further and further into the gutter. Shirk is gone. It's been 6 weeks. Again, a reminder, a footnote. She ain't never tell Benny Medina that this dude got the propensity to disappear, okay? We got problems, okay? So, you know, she didn't already just like, you know, god damn, what the word? Girl, you know how to pick them, girl. You certainly know how to pick them, right? But then I'm thinking to myself, you should have known that something was wrong because you ain't beg for the dick, okay? Because you know how Sugar Ray is. She got to beg for the pickle, all right? That dude wanted to knock her down instantaneously, right? So that should have been your, what do you call it? Your you know, wake up call right there. It's been 6 weeks. She like, okay, let me let my dreams go, okay? Because, I mean, you know, I ain't seen this ninja in 6 weeks. You know, just let it go, girl. Let it go. That's what I would. She gets a call, all right? He in the hospital again from ODing again. This time she ain't run down there to save him. What she did do is make him a care package and put a little, you know, adios card in it. No more. I'm done with you. Okay? And that was the end of Shirk. Let me say this about you, Sugar Ray. You broke down every single facet of how Barry the Gordy shizzed on you, okay? But on the Jesus, she only put one paragraph of how she was sitting around there smoking the crackhead with Shirk. This book would be so much better if she didn't portray herself as the victim. Because I think the most frustrating part about this book is that she, paints herself as someone who had been trampled by Berry Gordy instead of painting herself as someone who had put herself in the position to be trampled and used and taken advantage of by Berry Gordy. Well, not to be ungrateful, I should say that I did receive an envelope from Motown one day in 1984. It was a bonus of $35,000 for my work on Rockwell's Somebody's Watching Me. From that amount, $22,000 had been subtracted by the company accounts, a sum that was explained as monies I supposedly had borrowed over the years. Child, not to mention the IRS, they gonna get a piece of it. In early 1988, just as Shirk's expedition headed for its final collision, Motown was sold to MCA for $61 million. Meanwhile, my financial straits were becoming so difficult that I would soon move back in with Ed and Barbara Singleton. $61 million. Ed would shake his head. Hardly seems worth it. I agree. $61 million? Girl, but you know why I think he done that? Because I don't believe that Berry Gordy listens to anybody. I think that he is so shrewd that he could have made that decision by himself. $61 million is hardly enough money for Motown. Hardly. And when later that year, Mr. Postman brought me another delivery, I opened the package with wild anticipation. It was a plaque from Motown with a gold record on it and an inscription to me for my contribution. Certain events had come to pass that made telling this story a little easier. In the early 80s, a long-running and hugely successful Broadway show, Dreamgirls, opened. A thinly disguised history of the Supremes. The musical exposed the tragedy of Florence Ballard and for the first time presented a mixed picture of Berry Gordy, shedding a dimmer light on him than those of the brilliant spots previously reflected. Diana Ross refused to see the show, but Mary Wilson was so moved by it that she wrote her book, Dreamgirl, My Life as a Supreme, which gave the facts behind fictionalized story. Motown was all black in the beginning, very humbly black. And when Beans Bowles described Berry as having turned his back on the black people, as having betrayed that part of Motown's soul, the comment resonated with the feelings of many other family members. There were exceptions, of course. Most importantly, Smokey Robinson. Yeah, that Smokey, remember? She said he's passed all the tests. All the tests. And I'm saying to myself, what test did Smokey have to pass? Okay? Because Susan DePassy, that's like his sister. Okay? And he made her act like a gorilla. Smokey Robinson, what did you have to do? Thinking back, I know I'll never forget that day I approached Hitsville driving Dobbs' 1988 Marquise. It was Tuesday, March 14th, 1989. 3 decades had passed since the day that I driven this stretch of West Grand Boulevard and discovered the house with the seductive bay window, which is now a museum run by Berry's sister, Esther Edwards. From the car, I could see a gathering of people getting ready for a reunion photo shoot, but I couldn't make out any faces or familiar stances. My heart was in my mouth while I drove around looking for a parking space. Finally, 3 blocks away, I parked and began the long walk home. So now she's back at Hitsville, right? She's there, you know, seeing all the newcomers and those of the old school, the vets that are still around and living, okay? She also pays homage to those who are no longer on the earth at that time and who had succumbed to their addictions, whether it be alcohol or drugs. Suddenly, a microphone was put to my mouth. Cameras were snapping and popping. Questions coming at me right and left. Miss Ray, right? Okay, Ray Singleton. What do you think today's turnout means? I didn't know what it meant. All I knew was that it was great to be home. Now it was time to make some music. These stories are dedicated to all women who strive for achievement, whatever their fields of endeavor, to everyone who dares to dream dreams, to mothers and fathers who encourage their children to dare, to the joyous existence of music in the world, to the proud and the determined, and to every person who has ever loved an undying love and who still believes in the worldwide postal service, to God and to myself. P.S. This book, of course, is a long love letter to Barry, but once mailed, it is finally time for me to stop going to the mailbox. See, I don't live at the same place anymore. I've moved on to adventures ahead, and on the envelope that I've mailed, I've written no return address. Boo! 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 Bitch, if you think we believe you, you're gonna need more people. You died loving that bird or going and pickle, girl. Now, if you have not already done so, please remember to like, share the Facebook, subscribe, and visit uptopbeauty.com. Now remember this, the same people that you meet on the way up will always be the same people that you meet on the way down. My naysayers, my patron loves. You babies, have a good one. Peace.